Y'all want to see the baddest bitch Pam Grier in her best movie ever? The movie kicks off with Jackie Brown running through the airport. She's broke, a 40-something flight attendant for a company equivalent to Spirit Airlines. Meanwhile, Ordell, a retired Jedi with a ponytail that looks like it was glued on 5 minutes ago, is watching Girls with Guns. While watching, he tells his buddy and soon-to-be lackey, Lewis, about each gun that shows up in the show. Ordell sells guns for a living. The phone rings, so Ordell tells his girlfriend Melanie, who looks like a Temu Uma Thurman, to answer it. Melanie says he should just answer it because it's probably for him anyway. However, Ordell gets annoyed because she does nothing all day but smoke grass. Beaumont, Ordell's employee, is on the phone. Beaumont got arrested and needs Ordell's help to get out of jail. So Ordell goes to meet Max Cherry to get 10 grand to bail Beaumont. Max is confused because Ordell already has the 10 grand with him. But Ordell says he got to do all this extra stuff because cops will start questioning him on where he got the cash. Later that night, Ordell shows up at Beaumont's place, showing that he's a reliable employer who always has his men's backs. However, he immediately asks a favor of Beaumont, and Beaumont can't really say no since he was just bailed out. Basically, Ordell is dealing with Koreans for the first time, and he wants Beaumont to be his backup. Ordell tells Beaumont to hop in the trunk of the car so he can surprise the Koreans with a shotgun. Beaumont is a little apprehensive because the last time he dealt with Asians in a movie, he got whooped. Beaumont tries to get himself out of such a predicament because he is claustrophobic. But the guilt-tripping Jedi Force is strong with Ordell, so Beaumont folds, literally, into the trunk like luggage. Ordell then puts on his gloves and drives off, music blasting and with a cold look on his face. But instead of going to some secret meeting spot, he simply circles the block to the vacant lot next to where they were just parked. He then gets his gun and pops Beaumont with bullets. That same night, Louis is hanging out with Simone because he loves foin chocolate. Then Ordell comes over to show what he did to Beaumont. Beaumont had to die because he was a huge liability to Ordell. The next day, Jackie Brown gets off work. However, when she reaches the parking lot, she gets cornered by federal agent Ray Nicolette and his partner Mark, who is sporting the corn stash. It seems Jackie has walked right into their sting operation. They go through her bag. Just like that, stacks of cash and a little baggie of magical baking soda. Jackie says it's not hers, but the feds don't care because as far as they're concerned, she's guilty. She gets interrogated about working for Ordell and even learns that it was Beaumont who told the feds about her. Now Jackie knows she's staring down at two choices: give the feds what they want or rot in prison. Jackie gets sentenced for now, and her bail is posted at 10 grand. As she looks around the courtroom, she sees Ordell, who's sporting a Tyler Perry wig. Once again, Ordell visits Max Cherry and asks him to transfer Beaumont's bail bonds to Jackie. Later that night, Max picks up Jackie from jail, but something unexpected happens. The moment he sees Jackie, his coochie gets steamy. Being the gentleman that he is, Max gives Jackie a ride home, but we know that's not the only ride he wants to give her. He brings Jackie out to drink, and the two get to know each other better, with Max giving some free advice about her situation. While Max drops Jackie off later, Ordell is nearby watching them from his car. When Max leaves, he puts on his gloves and gets ready to deal with Jackie like he did with Beaumont. However, Jackie is not a black twink like Beaumont. When Ordell shows up at her apartment, Jackie plays it smooth. But then, when Ordell least expects it, she whips a gun out she stole from Max earlier and points it at him, immediately taking control of the entire situation. Ordell freezes. Jackie just made it very clear that if he makes one wrong move, his ponytail is going to end up at a Kmart dumpster. Ordell backs off, but now he knows Jackie isn't someone he can push around. Instead of curling up in fear, Jackie makes a deal with Ordell, saying she wants $100,000 when she's convicted. Ordell says most of his money is tied up in Mexico, but she has an idea to help him get it. The two get talking, and soon enough, Ordell leaves Jackie's home, clearly in agreement with whatever plan she has told him. In the morning, Jackie hears a knock on her door. It's Max, and he's there to get his gun. The two get talking, and Jackie's coochie senses tell her that Max is 99% white knight material. He compliments her, basically saying, "Black don't crack." "Okay, Max, we know your white chocolate game." So she tells her about the scheme she's brewing in her mind, and that's to help the feds catch Ordell. Max points out that Ordell is a scary man who has killed many people before. However, Jackie says she's not scared of that at all. What she's scared of is an even bigger evil, and that's dropping from broke to super broke. Later in the afternoon, Jackie meets up with the feds. She admits to knowing Ordell and pledges to help them bring him in as long as they help her get out of the country and grant her immunity. Ray says it's possible, but she'll have to be all in with helping them, and she agrees. Meanwhile, Ordell just got home after taking Louis shopping. However, he has to leave right away since Jackie called him to meet up. As soon as Ordell leaves, Melanie goes feral. She discreetly flirts with Louis. It seems the two have some history together, and Melanie isn't afraid to revisit it. So in the end, they end up sharing chlamydia, although it only lasts 3 minutes. Elsewhere, Ordell arrives at the bar where Jackie is waiting. She tells him about what happened with the police, which shocks Ordell and makes him uncomfortable, feeling like she'd betrayed him already. However, Jackie reveals her plan to use the feds to safely deliver Ordell his money from Mexico. Although it's risky, Ordell realizes it could work, so despite his better judgment, he agrees to it. Ordell and Jackie visit the shopping mall to finalize their plans. As Ordell leaves, he sees Max and immediately goes to hide. He feels uncomfortable seeing him there and decides to check out what he's up to. He sees him talk to Jackie and begins to have a bad feeling about things. However, despite his balls tingling, Ordell leaves things as they are. As for Jackie, she finally confirms that Max will help her. She reveals her plan to set up the world's slickest double-cross. She's going to use the sting as cover to swipe the $500,000 right under Ordell's nose, bamboozle the feds, and walk away richer than anyone ever thought possible. I need to find me a man who is willing to scam with me. Jackie suggests a trial run. She'll deliver a small portion of Ordell's money at the local shopping mall, where one of Ordell's girlfriends will pick it up. Once the switcheroo happens, the feds will then tail Ordell's girl and try to catch him in the act. Basically, Jackie Brown had put herself in the middle of the world's most chaotic 4D chess game. The feds think she's their pawn, Ordell thinks she's his rook, but in reality, Jackie's the queen sliding across the board, ready to knock every piece off and cash out with a fat payday. On the day of the trial run, Jackie brings in the money, meets up with one of Ordell's girls at the mall, and successfully delivers the money to her. Meanwhile, as Ordell's girl leaves with the money, the feds immediately tail her to see if they can catch Ordell. Things seem to run smoothly, only there is a small problem in the end. It seems Ordell made some last-minute changes on the delivery end of the money. There was another woman involved. This made the feds a little mad, so Jackie confronts Ordell about it later, saying they need to stick to her plans or the deal is off. For the main event, Jackie's plan is deceptively simple. Do the handoff in a department store dressing room. The feds will be lurking around, thinking they're about to bust Ordell. Ordell will think he's finally getting his $500,000 delivered. And Jackie? She's going to pull off a money switch, slicker than Trump's meme coin, with the help of Leatherface Max. Then the night before the heist, Ordell calls Jackie, saying he's making a few minor changes. Since he's run into some problems with his employees, Ordell decides Melanie is the one who's going to meet with Jackie for the handoff instead. Jackie is worried, but Ordell says it'll be fine because Melanie has enough intelligence to handle such errands. Is the intelligence in the room with us now? On the day of the main handoff, Jackie gets the money from Mexico. She told the feds beforehand that Ordell is only delivering $50,000 that day because he's still scared. Although they believe her, they don't know that it's actually the whole $500,000. She knows the feds are going to inspect the money, so she puts the $50,000 in an envelope and hides the rest in her bag behind some books and her clothes. A very simple move, but it works. Once she's at the mall, Jackie goes to buy a suit so she can access the dressing room area they've discussed. While she's there, Louis and Melanie, who were running late because of Melanie's antics, pretend to peruse clothes while arguing and observing. Jackie gets out of the dressing room to confirm she wants to buy the suit, and when she goes back to the dressing room, Melanie goes in as well so she can hand Jackie her paper bag. Meanwhile, Max arrives at the scene and accidentally gets seen by protruding belly Louis, who wonders why he's there. Jackie quickly puts several books in Melanie's paper bag to mimic the weight of the money. She then puts a few stacks of them on top to fool them that all of it is really there. Once she's got the package, Melanie rushes out of the dressing room, and Louis quickly catches up with her to take the bag. Before leaving the clothes shop, Jackie tells the attendant that someone left a bag of towels in the dressing room. She then goes on to call Ray and the feds to come out because Melanie took off with the money. Meanwhile, Max goes to the dressing room, pretending to be the husband of the lady who left the bag full of towels Jackie mentioned earlier. Max sees the bag and confirms it does contain the rest of Ordell's money. He literally grabbed that bag. While all that happens, Louis gets tired of Melanie nagging and making fun of him since he has trouble finding their parked car. So he gives her a chill pill made of lead, and its effects are permanent. Louis then meets up with Ordell later, delivering the money and the unfortunate news about Melanie. Although Ordell is disappointed that he won't be able to get any more BJs, he believes Louis wouldn't kill without just cause. Then Ordell looks at the bag and realizes they've been fooled. After thinking for a while, he figured Max helped Jackie out to fool them. Louis then mentions he saw Max at the drop-off point, which then infuriates Ordell. The revelation further pisses Ordell off, and he ends up giving Louis an early retirement. Twice. Elsewhere, Jackie gets interrogated by the feds. However, they end up believing her because her alibis seem to make sense, especially with the discovery of Louis and Melanie's bodies. So the feds work with her again for one final attempt to catch Ordell. As for Ordell, he's now in full panic mode. He can't let the feds win, and he sure as hell can't let Jackie keep his $500,000. But Jackie Brown isn't just one step ahead, she's 5. She knows Ordell will come for her, so she sets up the ultimate trap. Ordell calls Max over, and he stupidly goes to his house. Ordell looking like a black-white walker. Max tells Ordell that Jackie is at Max's bail office, and she can explain how things went down. So he heads there with Max. He shows up, gun in hand, thinking he's about to regain control. But surprise, Ray Nicolette and his Fed buddies are waiting in the shadows. Jackie plays her part perfectly, screaming just at the right moment to make it look like Ordell is about to shoot her. So the feds light him up, and Ordell falls to the ground. Ordell Robbie, king of talking big and the smoothest cusser of all time, gets taken out by the very woman he thought he could silence. With Ordell gone, the dust settles. Jackie has her money and her freedom, and most importantly, she doesn't have to work at Spirit anymore. She's now sitting on $500,000 and the satisfaction of being the smartest person in the room. A few days later, Jackie and Max share one last quiet moment. He looks at her like he's seeing the love of his life walk away. She looks at him like she wishes he'd come with her, but he doesn't. He also didn't take a lot of the money, only around 10%, and says that's all his fee is. Jackie wants him to take more, but he doesn't, saying it's more than enough for a guy like him. Their goodbye is sealed with a tender but bittersweet kiss. Now, why didn't you go live happily ever after with your girl? After that, Jackie drives off alone to her new life. She didn't just survive, she thrived and won. Such a satisfying movie. One of my favorite Quentin Tarantino films because it really displayed a strong black female lead. What did you guys think of this one?
Hey, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe now and turn on the notification because YouTube isn't recommending my videos. And if you'd like to watch more foolishness, click here or here.